Hey, best people, how are you doing? It's the Market Sniper with you. Yes, with you from some sunny, far off lands. Where might those lands be, you might wonder? Have a guess if you know what that is. Or better still, take a look at that just above my finger and tell me if you know what flag that is. Maybe I should zoom it in for you. Is that possible? No, it's not possible. Not that easy. It is, in fact, the Georgian flag. The Georgian flag. I don't have my Georgian hat with me this time. Sorry to disappoint our many fans. But yes, we are in Georgia, Georgia, Georgia. Now, to many people, Georgia is just, it gets totally misconstrued by people in the West. To many, it's like, oh, this is some ex-Soviet flipping shithole. That's literally the expanse of many Western nations' approach that haven't traveled to Georgia as to what Georgia's really all about as a country. And as you can see, some rather nice buildings over here, there. I think we're at Victory Square. Turn around a little bit, show you a little bit of what's going on. Beautiful trees. It's actually an amazing climate right now. Springtime, it's kind of 25, 26 degrees. T-shirt weather. Beautiful weather, I would say, and beautiful greenery. Let's take a walk down this particular street, and I'll tell you what the street is. It's called Shorter. Shorter is saying friendly people as well. I'm being prompted not to leave it out. Friendly people as well. It's called Shorter Rustaveli. That's the name of the street. Nice bistro, outdoor eating over here. Look at all these people. Going into the metro there, I can tell you there's some beautiful women. And in actual fact, for those of you that will notice in a while, pretty white European, everyone well dressed, nice flowers here to be bought for the lady in your life. Good cars going up and down. I'll show you a few in due course. Pretty nice property. And that's a key and interesting point I'm going to be referring back to. In fact, the property in Georgia, great value. Some fancy wheels, nice buildings. You see, it's not actually a shithole. It's actually a very nice place. Yes, there's some post-communist vibes in certain areas. That's still to be refurbed and done up. She doesn't want to show herself. But what you'll see is actually a pretty confident, normal nation. Some of you think it's all rioting at the moment, The EU, the color revolution, the attempt at the color revolution. No. In fact, I'm less concerned about having my device smashed out, sitting here walking the streets in Georgia, than I would be if I was in central London. Beautiful buildings across the road there. And why is that? Well, I'd like to say it's possibly the homogeneity of the local population. We're all kind of friendly, peaceful, helpful. English is spoken here predominantly, far more than I would say even in Panama and other jurisdictions. You'll get by 100% on English, all on your own. Russian is spoken as well, although you've got to choose where you say it. Better to the older generation than to the young that have been a bit brain programmed. Georgian is, of course, a language that many of them use. Let's just keep it that. Nice buildings. Down the road, there's theaters, there's art, there's a whole bunch more. This man wants to say hello. Yeah, very, very cool. How you guys? How you going, man? Friendly. Hello, ladies. Hello, ladies. I think they're giggling at me there. I put them on film there. Probably I should have asked, but no, they're not offended. Beautiful parks, lots of greenery and parks, classic buildings. So what's the whole pitch and story? Well, I'm going to talk to you about the tale of two nations, actually. Here's the thing. I've been speaking a lot on X. I haven't said so as explicitly on YouTube. But sadly, and I say this with some sadness in my heart, it's short America season. We are well supported by all our American brothers and sisters on this channel. And it must hurt them to hear me say that. And it's not something I'm wishing. It's just something that is. It's something that is. There's a lot of mansplaining, politico-splaining. Hey, ladies. A lot of politico-splaining going on. There's the three dudes in the glasses. They're tracking those ladies, I hope. Anyway, a lot of political splaining of the current tariff situation and what's going on in with regards to Bessent, Trump tariffs, etc. And beautiful building, by the way. Here's what I have to say on that. Bessent is accusing everybody. In fact, Ray Dalio has actually done an article, nice take hand over there, of accusing, essentially, we're being forced, he says, to be the consumer of last resort. We are, you know, we're done having to hold up and be the guy that runs deficits for everybody. Now, this is typical inversion perversion. And this is the great irony of where we're at. Because, believe you me, as Francis, as you know me, I would rather America was a superpower with the American people, etc., the can-do attitude, the vibe and everything, than necessarily China, which is a very foreign type feel to me. But when we forget comfort and familiarity with a, you know, another white European nation largely, although that's quickly dying, big state building, flying the flag, almost a postcard that, we have to realize that in actual fact, he's singing the tunes. We have to realize that in fact, America has been living well beyond all its means since the last 4 or 5 decades, in fact. And reality dictates that they've almost become the fat kid that lies on the lounger who's permanently on holiday, noshing on burgers, chips and cokes, and got Japanese and Chinese waiters running around serving them pina coladas, and put it on my tab, holidaying on, partying on, consuming on, turning into fatty liver boy, Mr. Tuck Shop. And then, as their ill health starts to roll, saying, hey, you guys never, you know, consumed your share of burgers, and now you've made me sick. I'm blaming everyone else. And that's kind of how it is in the world right now in terms of America. It's everybody else's fault that they've built a wall of debt consuming everybody else's product. And that doesn't sound quite right to me at a principle levels. Forget what yellow man bad syndrome. I'm more driven by principle. And let's be frank, people don't know productivity like they know America and I think I got caught there. America and Chinese workforce. I watched a train station be assembled, by the way, right the way through a single day in China, from nothing to fully there. And I can tell you that that was the most organized, synchronized, overwhelming specialist operation of production that I've ever seen. Literally in a day, a station was from a normal line. I mean, you had guys on 3 different levels of line, 3 across. And then every 10 meters, you had another grid of 9 guys in the air, suspended on wires, all doing synchronizedly at record rate, their connecting of electrics, the throwing up of cables, the establishment of everything. All at the same time, everybody on the ground is operating. Everybody knows what they want to do. I've looked at Xiaomi, I'm not sure I've said it correctly, the device manufacturer, churning out a device, 1 phone a second, a completely auto assembly line. There is no human intervention, only a maintenance team when something breaks. That tells you something about the manner in which they're producing and their effectiveness. And nice bistro out there, have your coffee. And America doesn't know working like that, and they don't even know manufacturing. And to be fair, this is not a beat up on America thing. Europeans generally don't know that level of efficiency. I'm coming back for one on the way back. Pomegranate juice is so powerful as a antioxidant. They'll crush it right in front of you and you'll knock it back. That's my only red wine, I will tell you. It's my only red wine that I will consume, and it is the best. Anyway, she's keen to get my business. Very friendly, everybody, as you've seen. No one's offended. No one's everyone's chill. I mean, girls dressed up, some skimpy, some well-clad, totally safe. Young, there's youth. You know, it's nice to see actually real youth. And there's, yeah, good feeling, a good general feeling, all speaking English. Very low crime, high. There's the odd cop car that goes up and down, and most of the time they're shooing off someone who slowed down. That's it. I haven't seen anything adverse. There's the unfortunate presence of the EU flag just under the Georgian flag, by the way. But anyway, back to my narrative. When it comes to production, China are killing it. China is killing it. Nobody knows work like those guys know work. Nobody knows organization and like they know. And the notion that you're going to implant that level of manufacturing in America and start competing with what China has been putting in place in terms of their efficiency, in terms of their productivity. Nobody is bigger than the team. They work like a team. It's kind of the solid, nice cafe here. It's the full-on solidarity. Everybody works for the greater good, bringing everything else up to the output. There's no crying off sick notes and things like that for hangovers and stuff like that. I'm sorry, guys. There's no manufacturing to America for, you know, working class whites to screw things together. That world doesn't exist anymore. Nice defender, although you also got to mind the hole. So, you know, a little bit of work still rough around the edges to a degree, but I think you'll agree, far from being hideous. Lovely lawn, it's all been mown, great trees. And my Georgian dogs, they've all got a tag in their ear. They're looked after and fed. And they just hang out. They're just like nobody's dog. Animal is left completely wrecked and in a sick state. So yeah, fascinating. That's a cathedral, by the way, that you can go in and visit. They often stop and do the many times that Georgians have got their own way. It's kind of like heads and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes a couple of times. It goes like this: heads and shoulders, knees and toes. Okay, I'm not so good at it, but you know, I might get into trouble for that one. Lots of stores along the base here. So the point of bin and splaining, politico-splaining by the Zio classes. And they're telling you a lot of BS. There's a bunch of BS. I actually had a long chat with the community this morning, the premium community. I told them exactly what I think. So another video doing the rounds. Let's get the nice buildings in the background. Another video doing the rounds is this one of Ricard's. Now let's be clear, you never do work in game theory and be in the middle of long-term capital collapse and all of this and work with the CIA and brag about it for marketing, and actually I believe it to be true, and not still be an operative. If those guys tap you up, it's like, it's basically the Mossad. CIA is the Mossad. You know, every chosen one just needs to be tapped up and he's an agent. It's all for the greater good of the cult. And by the way, that doesn't look so great, and it'll probably be cleared for new letting. So warts and all, but real construction coming up here. It's a Hyatt, by the way. Tbilisi Hyatt. We are in Tbilisi. If I didn't say the town name, I should have. I went straight to the street. Anyway, so this deficit doesn't fix. It doesn't get fixed. Dalio can talk about the great, beautiful rebalancing. The deficits don't get fixed. China makes your shit. Get over it. That's how it's going to be. And in actual fact, it's accelerating ever more that way. And any notion to some other point is absolutely not correct. It isn't going to happen. They make your stuff, and that is it. And unless you're ready to start with unbelievable AI automation factories with almost zero people, perfectly set up machinery, who's got the skill set for that in America? What kind of investment? Hell, they've been designing derivatives and Ponzi schemes and financial services of mass destruction, not infrastructure, not production robotics for producing goods. None of those. America couldn't produce a factory. It's not a beat up on America. Europe can't either. Australia can't. New Zealand can't. Canada can't. None of them can do to the degree and the level of investment that China is committed to do. Because these guys are playing the long game. And they're doing real infrastructure, and they're not wasting money on wars. 80% of wars, all wars that have occurred since the end of World War II, have had America at the helm. Think about that. And it runs into hundreds, by the way. Think about that for a moment. Imagine all that money had been directed towards automated factories with robotics and everything of that nature. Imagine if that was how they'd spent those trillions, instead of doing what they did. Moment. How far the US could, if they had not gone full apeshit on the war machine. Girls are on camera. Hey. Looking good, the Georgian ladies. Shout out for the Georgian ladies. Hit the like button. Bringing you the Georgian ladies from the other side of the flipping planet. What's wrong with you, man? Okay, don't make me big. I ain't doing it. Okay, so back to the story. There's no changing this deficit situation. You can switch off all trade and you can have a run on your shelves back there in America as Amazon, 71% of products suddenly disappears. Walmart and all the others. You could stop cargo, from coming in to the ports if that's what you're all about and that's what you want to do. Okay, well done. If you want to starve your people, reduce them and watch product prices go up, as you now have a scarcity issue, you can do all of that, but that ain't gonna, that's gonna hurt China a little bit. But the notion that they only live off America is wrong. These guys have been building supply chains in South Africa. You can buy a Beijing vehicle in South Africa. You can buy Chinese vehicles in countries that Americans have never ever seen. And until you get out and travel, you don't realize that. The world ends at your borders. I want to tell you about a PSYOP that we're talking to Georgian members of our community. They weren't Georgian, in fact. They're anything but Georgian, but they're here in Georgia. We had an Australian, we had a Finn, we had a Slovak couple, we had a dog. We had, we got United Nations presence. Guy was mentioning something that stuck. And the whole thing is, it was basically every nation has a national PSYOP. And that national PSYOP is their country's the best. So she was born in the USSR. As a teenager, she thought the best nation. She was told that, she bought it, she believed it, she signed up for it, she totally believed it. Then it collapsed. Germany, the best nation. Get to Germany. She went via Latvia and all the ex-Soviet Union. She found herself in Germany. In Germany, she believed it was the best nation. And she went there, she lived there, she started to learn how the place operated. And then, slowly but surely, Germany seemed to turn into a bit of a socialist dystopia that tracked everything, bit of surveillance finance. She started looking at property. She went over to America. Vegas, but not the Strip, the outlying areas. She loved it. Warm, friendly Americans. Awesome. America's now the best country. She went from the USSR was the best country. Later realized it was a lie. She went to Germany was the best country. Realized it was a lie. She's now in America. This is the best country. And now we're watching everything that's going down in America. And everyone in America thinks and drinks the Kool-Aid. It's the best country for all things. Now, it's a beautiful country. Don't get me wrong. All three of those countries have natural beauty. All three of those countries had something going for them at some point. And all three of those countries turned down. The Soviet Union collapsed and is now on the upside. Believe it or not. Off a low base, it has to be said, but the trend is good. And the great old Gretzky saying is, don't chase the puck, chase where it's going. The trend is your friend. The trends are always your friends. You know, chase the trend. Don't hang on. At peak America, the only way is down. Down means a massive loss in living standards. More extraction on you, like it's going down in the UK and the Europeans as well. This is as much about Europe as it is America. It's just that America's the hegemon. They fall the hardest, furthest, for longest. And actually, in terms of debt and interest rates, they have the highest rates because they're actually the worst in terms of debt. Some people go, but Japan. Japan is a self-contained Ponzi supported by its own citizens. Okay, and you haven't got the unfunded liabilities in America. And America is now back to the Rijkaard story, CIA agent and all, reading from his teleprompter like this and doing the thing. And I mean, he's an interesting guy, and I bought his books to learn, but I don't trust. What's his story? 150 trillion. That's been hidden from you all these years. You didn't know. America's been stashing. No, it hasn't been stashing. The whole story, the whole ruse comes down to mineral rights in the ground. That's right. Mineral rights in the ground. It's like the asteroid gold story. Yeah, no, you shouldn't, you know, the asteroids, somebody's gonna catch an asteroid with gazillion tons on it, you know? It's an on-ramp for tokenization. Lol Spinkelstein of BlackRock, you don't hate this company enough, guys. You just don't hate this company and all of its board members and everyone associated. You just don't hate them enough. Hear me now, look into the eyes. I'm looking straight at the camera. You don't hate BlackRock enough. You don't. You can't. There isn't enough hate in the world, okay? I'm not someone who talks about hate. Hate isn't a word that's a big part of my lexicon in actual fact. I recognize swindlers and treachery, but on this case, I'm going to make you don't hate BlackRock enough, okay? So with that, and getting back on script, not getting distracted by a transgender pink shorts walking by. Back to script. Back to script. You don't hate them enough. And here's what they're going to do. They're going to tokenize gold dust yet to be found of unknown quantity that they've sort of flown a plane on and bioscanned on a probability-based basis might be in the ground. And copper, rare earth minerals, lithium, you name it. They're going to have a menu as long as your arm that they're going to assume is in the ground, and they're going to come up to a valuation of 150 trillion. We got the accountants on it. It's 150 trillion. And by the way, that's more than 4 times how much we owe in debt. Convenient number that. That's what you owe in debt, I say. That's kind of convenient. Hello. How's your auntie, my sweetheart? Yep. So, with that understood, America's rich. You don't have a debt problem. You've got a massive balance sheet backing that debt. You got 150 trillion of pixie dust somewhere. Who knows how deep, how far? Who knows the extraction cost of any variety? Who even knows if it's economically viable? We're going to tokenize it, and the market cap's 150 trillion. That's the new scam. The new scam is very much like the old scams, okay? It's designed to see them take the mineral rights out of the land of America, to mortgage your future, and for the chosen few to tokenize assets so that you end up with nothing and they end up owning anything that might one day be found in the ground or mined or extracted. Although none of us know if it's even economically viable to do so. There will be some that will and there'll be some that won't. And they're forward selling future output that you've yet to even know where it is and to what degree it's there. This is the establishment of a dispossession platform. And you get to be the dispossessed. Let me look at the lens. We're coming for your shit. We're coming for your shit. And we're going to tokenize everything, right down to every last grain of sand, because maybe lithium. Maybe there's a speck of lithium there. I love watching the Aussie gold channels where there's guys that go to the river and they pan for gold and they find a couple of nuggets every day. These guys are going to tell you about, they're going to take it all away from you. They are going to be the panners for the gold. They are going to make you gold because they own the token. These guys love their sports bike out here. There's nakeds and everything going down here, acro pipes and blowing a big hole in the sound barrier. Anyway, so forgive the audio. It is what it is. But I think, as I said, if this was London, I would have been looking. I would have had eyes in the back of my head. I've absolutely no concerns. No concerns at all. Beautiful architecture, all getting gentrified up. On this street, the Georgian government, small change of tune, the Georgian government is going to come and fix the facades of every building on them, not the owners. There's actually ex-communist USSR era people who were just given the flats, still live there, and own the stuff, and are now selling for $250,000, $300,000. What would cost you if this was the equivalent, and as I say, Park Lane, Oxford Street in London, I don't know what I would use, Central Park maybe in New York, places high streets with fancy stores, great restaurants, bistros, only very low crime, no trouble in the streets, unless there's a little local EU-sponsored NATO riot that says Russia bad, Occasionally, you get the little old psyop there. But I mean, that's to be expected. It's the same the world over. You're going to have rent-a-crowd being used and abused. In London, you'll have Gary's Economics. More taxes, please. You just haven't taxed us enough so that you can now spend 50 million on dimming the sun. Can you believe it? But buy your solar panels at the same time, cause climate change. Absolute inversion, perversion world. And you should buy the trend, not the current perception. You might find that an ex-USSR shithole actually isn't a shithole at all, but a very nice place. It might even country once was, before the Marxists got hold of it, before the immigration quangos got hold of it, before all forms of political malfeasance got hold of it. You might find that actually it's like going back in time to central London when mothers shopped with their babies and left them outside the store to go into the shop in their prams. You might find it was where people left stuff in the park, right where they were sitting to go buy an ice cream, and nobody even bothered to ask somebody to watch it for them. You might find it's quite decent. And here's the, with potentially doing some of these things. Single guys, I'm trying to give you a heads up here. And ladies, you Georgian men, they all play rugby. They've got broad shoulders. They'll pick you up. They won't sweat to lift you over the hearth of your new home. Anyway, you might find that actually you get more benefits. Here's the thing. You have to divorce from your current slave owner. He's max extracting from you. Max extractor. On tax, on passports, the country you are born in, your country is the best country in the world, PSYOP, is the people that is your biggest enemy. The government, the system, the dark states, the secrets, all of them. They are your biggest enemy. And those are the people you need to get away from. And when you go to a new slave owner, but small guy, he has to be sweet and nice to you. He can't beat you up because you could go somewhere else. You come to George and he says, "Hey, foreign man, thanks so much for coming. Hey, here's my deal. I really want your business. Can I please be your slave master, but I'll be an ever so nice one? I tell you what, 0 capital gains on your crypto, on your stock trading, on your gold, on your everything, on your property. here's the thing. If you happen to have a property and get a bit of rent, I said, will you give me 5% off the top, the gross amount, if you happen to rent a property and it's yours and you own it in your personal name? 5%. Can you do that? Could you do that? You can come here, internet, work remotely. As I say, we've got a man who came all the way from Holland through all the borders with his dog. It's a great dog, by the way. There's plenty here you can adopt as well. They've got an interesting earring. But anyway, how useful is that? How useful is that? By the way, FTX will be paying out in other news, hopefully, sometime in May. Anyone who had more than 50K. You might need a tax certificate. You might need a residency certificate. You might need a bank account in that country. All of this is doable so much easier, guys. So much easier. All of this is doable so much easier. All you have to do and come to really friendly people. Our partners are absolutely amazing. I've used them for absolutely everything, and they will get you in a very short time. Banking, residency, and then tax residency. And then after you've done that, you don't have to be here. Be here once. Come take a holiday. You can decide, nice or shithole, for yourself. The idea of this video is to help you, to not be afraid. Because you've got a bald guy in glasses who hasn't shaved, walking around, talking on the top of his voice on one of the most populous streets with his device, showing you the lie of the land, to tell you to not be scared. Things are cheaper. Cost of living generally cheaper. Nice eat outs, great food, Georgian wine. This was where the Russians came for holiday, in the USSR. They love Georgia, the Russians. I'm not so sure they're always so loved themselves now. Programming has been going on. It goes on everywhere. There's a mate. Hey, boy. There's your big boy. What's your name? Hey, short ass. What's your name? Yeah, you boy. Nice earrings. Nice earrings. He's a guy who's had a few too many foreigners talk shit to him in his life to bother with my story. Okay. So, all of those things can be done. All of those things can be done at a cost. At relatively low cost. And you can rent. We've got guys renting here. We've got guys who've bought here. We've got guys who are doing refurbs that our agents have helped them find property, have helped negotiate and get it down in price. And by the way, if you do decide to get property, instead of coming every year to renew your residency once, and in fact, if you do it 2 years back to back without a break, they often give you 3 instead of 1 year. But if you buy a property, you get a lifetime residency. Lifetime. You never have to come here again. You can just put it out to rent if you want to. But why not come here? It's great. It's a European summer. It's a European summer without the criminals. It's a European summer without immigrant boats landing anywhere here. It's a great... So, here's what you got to do. You got to start thinking. The max extractors are coming. They want to take everything you own. They're going to come with more taxes. They're going to come with unrealized capital gains. They're going to come with new income taxes. They're going to come... And some of you are thinking, but Russia, you close to Russia. Okay, so here's something. Let's deal with some objections. But you're close to Russia. So the color revolution failed. The EU tried it with their NATO axis. And then guess what? America's decided they don't want to pay for NATO anymore. And NATO's wings got clipped. And they resisted it. It never happened. It never actually happened. They tried and failed. It never happened, guys. And the Georgians don't want to get conscripted to go fight, to be like Ukraine. They saw that model. They thought, no thanks. And even if they did, let's say I'm wrong. America commits to NATO again. Europe starts paying their fair share. They escalate the war on Russia. Again, let's go for Mark II. Let's come again. New meat for the meat grinder. You know, and off they go. and start sending it. What happens in the cities? Russia could absolutely have dropped an unbelievable bomb on Kiev. By the way, I've been to Kiev, I've been to Tbilisi, I've been to all these places. And I can tell you that Kiev sitting with these same golden statues and everything, and no one has dropped a bomb on Kiev. But Russia could do it, could flatten a city. The city's fine. There's a certain kind of war that's going on. You've got to remember, the big money that hates you owns the hotel on Krishatik Street, on Maidan Square. They earn the money of all the politicians, the defense contractors that are going and staying there for 3 or 4 weeks. Everything that goes on. All the prime properties, these huge hotels. It's full of Arab money. Not this one, but there's another place coming. See that building up there? There's Arab money. There's all sorts of people. They're all structures. They don't bomb their own investments. They don't have other people bomb their own investments. The people are dying in rural areas where the border is in a muddy field. That's the deaths. It's sad but true in this Ukraine-Kiev world. So as a foreigner you're not going to be conscripted in the Georgian army any more than you would be conscripted in Ukraine. You've got a passport that says American, Australian, whatever you want. It's your fly free. You're a tourist in a far off land who just happens to get a bit of residency and tax residency because for you and ensures that you get all that you want. Terrible place. What? Why not? So, Russia war. I don't see it. I don't think it. Doesn't look like it from here. And NATO is unraveling. It's not getting stronger. What if it came in the future? The towns don't get bombed. The main assets in the city centers don't get bombed. It's not that kind of warfare. It's old school conventional warfare with drones thrown in along the borders in rural areas. The people that get killed are elderly people on farms, peasants. I don't mean that in a nasty way like Barnes says it, but I'm often saying old generation folk and farmers that live near the border. That's what's going down. That's where it's going down. And those are who the brutal Ukrainian under the Zelensky attack vector are slaughtering people unnecessarily. But is there no risk? There's always risk. There's always some form of risk anywhere. I can tell you what's the most risky thing. Staying exactly where you are, doing exactly what you're doing is the most risky thing. Because the tectonic plates are moving under your feet and you're about to be swallowed up. That right there is as a fact, as hard as any man is a fact. And I want you to understand exactly that. Girl. I think she's one of those subsistence farmers. Anyway, take a breath. Staying where you are is fatal. Staying where you are in America, Europe, in a debt-based collapse is fatal to your long-term wealth. Reduce you to becoming subsistent on and reliant on UBI as dictated by your government of the day, who absolutely hates you. And the more they know they have to steal, the more aggressive they get about telling you exactly how little they value you. So if we take the UK with their social media policing, but the fact that Khan is ongoing mayor of London for what feels like absolute freaking deck, yet knife crime continues to go up. London's becoming a shithole, a true shithole. Stolen from. The most crime I ever experienced was in London. I had my carbon racing bike stolen, a carbon mountain bike stolen. I had an Aprilia superbike stolen, literally dragged, chained up and dragged off. I've had so much actually happen. I haven't actually experienced that in South Africa, Georgia, Panama, in other places. It's more dangerous to have a nice watch in London now than it is in Tbilisi. And you've got to wind that stuff in a whole bunch. I'm going to be doing it. And I can tell you it's real dangerous. It's because Oh, the sights of Georgia. What do you do? What do you do? Stop waiting for lightning to strike, because it will. It's getting hot where you are. The debt-based collapse is real. You've had the first instance of dollar go down, debt go down simultaneously. She likes a YouTuber. You've had based spinning about China overproducing, and let's walk a bit. And you've got them coming with all sorts of psyops now about how they're going to tokenize resources in the ground and tell you that they found 150 trillion that just happened to fall down the back of the couch. That actually was always there, but no other president before ever thought to use. But Trump, the mastermind, has got this. He has a plan. You know, this is MAGA territory, deep, deep MAGA territory, which is essentially Zionism. They have a plan, 150 trillion Ponzi scheme plan. And they're going to introduce tokenization for the rights to whatever fragments of minerals and precious metals and everything else that can be found in the ground now suddenly is going to have a valuation attached to it. And they're going to sell you this. We're a bunch richer than everybody said. Nobody. It's like unleashing the Kraken. I've been poor all my life, but actually I've been sitting on 150 tons of gold. Who'd have thunk it? And it took someone as clever as Trump to realize it. Meanwhile, it's just all his handlers saying, here's the next Ponzi we can try to print and pretend one more time. Print and pretend one more time. How about that? I mean, scammers will keep scamming, let's be frank. That's what they do. And that's where we are. Nice car. You'll even find a tizzle. Let's hope it's not on fire. It'll roast your rectum for you and do you easy over testicles, for sure. But they're here. But in time, if the NATO thing tapers, you'll see some Chinese cars like BYDs here soon as well. So, you're going to have to either buy their Ponzi with their minerals in the ground narrative. Applies to every nation in the world. As I say, Australia's a big producer, got a big chunk of land. Why don't they just say we got 200 trillion in undiscovered gold reserves? Why not? Why not, I say? See into the sun there? There's a big tower on the hill there that's quite spectacular, but we're not in the best viewpoint. So why not? Well, every country can do this, and every country might do it. In certain places, they're flying planes. NASA is working with certain South African air traffic control to fly planes, adapted jets with scanners on them. I wonder what they are doing. Now, NASA to me, when I described this to my community, I forgot it was NASA actually, but NASA is just a fraud agency. I mean, when I hear NASA, I just see CIA, Mossad, BS. It's like I film the street here and I show you lots. It's a facade of a front of a shop that all ends in the same back end. You think you're going into Boss, and next to it you think you're going into Balenciaga, and next into it, and there's one Chinese factory that's just smashing in the back end there. And they're smashing it out to different fronts. There's the Radisson, by the way. So there's names people will recognize. That is Georgian handwriting. I call it all titties and bums handwriting, but that could be down to my testosterone levels rather than anything factual. But anyway, so NASA is just another shop frontage bullshit name, just like the CIA and you know, what's those, the alcohol, the ATF, is it? The alcohol, tobacco, or the, you know, it just backs into Mossad. It backs into an IT system run by Schmugel, which is also the tech division of Mossad stroke CIA. And it just backs into Schmugel on a server and ends up you're dealing with the dark state. Basically, it's just a big catch-all for dark state. And they have categorizations and little department names. They're all like subsidiaries of the main corporate. And the main corporate is the Rothschild legacy family's hegemony, which is worked through BlackRock and intelligence agencies. That's it. I mean, there's not too much that needs to be said about the fact about that. So NASA flying over Africa is actually scanning with adapted jets, private jets with adapted equipment to it, where they can scan above it. At the same time, South Africa is getting, for the second time, a property guy's waving at me just for having my mobile out. I should have had it pointing forward. At the same time, it is having property confiscation without compensation laws. Now, that's not for your 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment or even your freestanding home in South Africa. That is for the masses of huge Karoo lamb farms and all the other farms that they are scanning with spacey type equipment. They are scanning the ground in private jets, which NASA, which, as I've already said, dark states, internationalist, goes across America. Don't even think of it as American. Officially, it's America, because that's the debt Ponzi that funds it. It's anything. It goes across all the world. It just has different shop frontage names when it's somewhere else. It'll be the Space Agency of South Africa. Believe you me, there is one. But they don't have any space machines. They don't even have a navy. We couldn't put a canoe out South Africa anymore to defend ourselves. We're just lucky there's no one. We don't even have a space agency. How can you have a space agency if you can't? None of your helicopters can fly. We have 38 different rotary wing lynxes and only one flies. You got to understand there's an agency for everything, but it's just a shop front. It's just a money laundering through the statist vehicles. And they interoperable and cooperate with other countries. So you need to stop thinking in silos. You need to stop nation stating things. There's a couple vertical silos, which is countries, America, Europe, China, and then there's a horizontal. And this is your internationalist class. This is your internationalist class, and they move left and right. They don't move up and down. They're already at the top. It goes right through the tops of all these vertical silos. That's how you have to think. They move left and right. They can shapeshift from American to, and they often do, and they travel a lot anyway. And you have to learn from them, and you should be doing that. You should shapeshift from America and resign. Give up your passport. Get some different passport so that you're not globally taxed. You should, if you're from the other countries, because you're not globally taxed, okay, you could keep your passport. But you don't have to do everything in one go. Just chip away. The minute you get yourself optionality, get it off. You start being in a better situation. And that's the game, guys. It really is. You need optionality so that you, yourself, can move and shift and go where the laws are best for yourself. And you don't have to pay Henderson 60 grand to get a bank account and some paperwork. In fact, it can be done for a lot less than good old Nomad Cap. We have the same, we actually have contacts that he uses. You don't have to have that wooden fellow lift your wallet. The difference is there's immense value of knowing where to go and what to do and have someone who speaks in Georgian. So here was my experience. Renew my residency. Hey, Rat, how are you doing? Yeah, good, thanks. And you? Great. Tell me what to do. Yeah, just get your passport out when I tell you. Cool. Sit here in the photo booth. I paid it for you. Get your photo taken. Cool. Sign there. Cool. Do this. Half an hour, in and out. A government efficiency. Okay, got to tell you this. one of the guys that we were meeting with, I like this building actually, it's quite cool. One of the guys, community members that we were meeting with, he's from Finland, said, I love how easy everything is here. Listen to this quote. I love how easy everything is here. So dealing with governments in any country is the biggest testicular ache you can possibly have. Georgia is not. Half an hour, organized, queue to queue to queue, process 1, 2, 3, fast track. On the 10th day, I'm leaving here with my residency. It's not even worth going home and coming back for it. It's done so quick on the fast track. Done for the year. Residency, remotely, he'll do my tax residency application. I don't even have to be here for that. I'll just get sent a document. So I come, have a bit of sunshine, do what I'm told, shut up, and go through the process. Half an hour we were done. Half an hour. That's it. Go look at some properties. People will find, source. If you want to do something old and refurb, something new, or don't even buy property. It's not even required. Come every year. Do it 2 or 3 years in a row. You'll probably get 3 years the third time. That's it. No more capital gains. I live here. You have an address. You get a utility bill if you have a property. Done. You don't even have to be here. Someone else can be renting it. You just keep the water bill in your name, or the electricity or the internet bill. The rest is in his name. He still pays it for it all. You're done. You're done. That's it. Sorry, I'm a Georgian resident and tax resident. Why don't you do it? You should. You should. You need optionality. You know, we talk a lot on this channel. It's all about making money, the trade. This is going up, that's going up. We get some wrong, we get some right. The macros, generally on the macros, we're more right than wrong, but we still get some wrong. But we've been talking about going long gold for the last decade, and we've been very specifically, aggressively saying go long gold. Once we did the fourth, 3 times a lady, fourth time is yours, 2,000 break. Now you're sitting at 3,300. You didn't have to leverage trade that, and you've already, within the space of 18 months, done almost 1,500, 75% on 2,000. It's not bad. And by the way, any pullbacks are just opportunities. This isn't a 2-year trade. This is a debt collapse for the entire reset of the Western world, with knock-on effects to everywhere else, for sure. They're not going to get away unscathed when the biggest, dumbest buyer in the room suddenly keels over of a heart attack on all those burgers, cokes, and drinks he was ordering while lounging by the pool, chasing the rest of the world to serve him. No, there will be a global contraction, and what will happen? Cash and gold will serve you through it. Well, and in due course, things will pivot. Once that happens, you'll even get silver working to your benefit as well. Terrible place to visit. Anyway, so with all that said, you need to make changes. You need to get the. We talk a lot about the trades and the investments and the positioning. That's the make money bit. It doesn't help if you don't understand it's what you keep, it's what you keep, it's what you keep 3 times to drum it into your head. It's also what you keep. You can lose it all. It's like casino guy putting 100% on black. Yes, you may well have made it, and now you're going to try double it again, and you walk out with nothing. It's what you keep. It's what you keep. It's your stop loss that keeps you in trading. It's how you protect against losses and only take sizable losses in trading. It's what you keep. It's defense. It's defense. It's defense. How many times do we say it? It's fucking defense. It's not your attack. It's your defense. Anyone can get lucky once or twice and be over leveraged. It's that you're managed. It's that your losses are managed, and your stop loss on your capital preservation is a Georgian residency. You need options. You need options against your dark state that masks and sits behind NASA, the IRS, the CIA, the FBI, the ATF, everybody who has confiscation if you're carrying more cash in your car than you should be, that can take, if you had your gold on you, that could strip it off you because you were taking it for, a little boat ride, for a little incident. All of them are attack vectors of the state. The banking system is a paid department of the IRS. It's a licensed department of the IRS that gets its own branding. because they're far more scared of falling foul of the IRS and the intermediary bankers that allow them to be into the international grid than they are of losing you as a client. Trust me on that one. So they rat you out like stink for anything small. They have to be clean or clean, because if they lose their intermediary banking license, they are in trouble. Done. They can't do it. It's far better they throw you under the bus. They're not your friends. They are Gestapo. They are, what did they call them in Russia? Everybody rats it. They got a culture in Bolshevism of honor in ratting your own parents out. Getting them to go to the gulag was invariably getting your own family ratted out, was part of showing your honor towards statism before anything. Rat out your husband, your wife, your everybody. Okay, so this video is America's in decline. You can accept that or you cannot accept it. You can buy the 150 trillion coin that fell down the back of the couch and the on-ramp for tokenization as your big saving grace. You've got this ace in the hole. You can buy that Ponzi, like carbon credits and everything else that they've generated to create a market and a casino out of something as part and parcel of self-enrichment for them and handing a loss to you. Dispossession. It is a platform for dispossession of the people on its own birthright, the land itself. You either get what I'm saying or you don't. But you're in decline, and they're pulling every trick in the book, the more bizarre and the more... Trump also said, by the way, he wasn't worried about the collapse of the bond market. What do I hear? Worried about the collapse in the bond market. Remember, it's inversion perversion. He tweeted on Truth Social. I wasn't worried about collapse on the bond market. I think he should have been. I think he was. And absolutely, you should be too. Because there's nothing like saying something like denying it. In short, it's not official until it's been properly denied. And that's official now. The bond crapped the bed. I told you about this microcosm that happened in the UK, and I said it was coming for the USA. You had your first little flash. You had a little snap that you could have seen through the whole. The curtain got pulled back for that nanosecond that you saw. Dollar down, debt down. Now, you think that debt's gone away? You think that's the last that's happening? I told you it had happened once. Everyone would have said, never, no, it's not happening in the USA. We're a much bigger nation. Britain is a long gone empire. I heard all that bollocks when I said it. Now it's happened. Now what do you say? You think that's all that's going to happen? You think he's put all the genies back in, and that's where it's going to stay now in the US? And the collapse of the US is going to be a chronic collapse in Europe, because they're going to have to start spending on their own military. Even just to have a figment of defense, never mind having the power to even consider a war with Russia, just a figment of defense, they're going to have to spend themselves. And that's going to push the debt markets there, which are lower because they are less deemed to collapse than America is. America is more in the debt space, is more indebted and more deemed to be collapsible, and it's determined by the interest rate, my friends. The interest rate is the price of fear of collapse. American debt is more expensive than German. That doesn't mean Germany's doing great guns. Germany's going down the chute faster than anything else, bar the UK, and France right behind it. Record spending in the UK, record spending in France. Record deficits and T-bill issuance, the equivalent of gilts in the UK and French debt instruments. So, I mean, they're all in the same, they kiss the same leper. I'm not making the Eurozone to be better, but they're not a hegemon. The hegemon is the one that stands on the hill. He falls from a lot higher. To my American friends, the quality of your living standards are being eroded in front of your very eyes. People are going bankrupt. Credit cards are going at mass arrears. You had all-time lows on consumer confidence. And I can say to you, it's going to go down. You look at the total market caps, the American market caps are way up here and every other major country is way down relatively. That's about a change. Capital formation is going to take place other places. The US has made itself unpopular with everyone, not just China. Because when you start swinging at all comers, including your mate standing behind you, like a drunk man in the bar, you actually have no friends left because you behave like a prick. Again, that's not my American friends and watchers of this channel. It's the parasite internationalist class that is controlled demolishing the country of America. And it's sad and it's a great pity. But you can see it and you can say, so here's what I get a lot. I spoke about on another channel, you should leave. You should leave. This is a very controversial thing. So here's what happens. Everybody goes, oh, it's okay for you, you're rich and you don't have any kids, or I do, by the way, or they're not of a certain age, they were, etc., etc., etc. It's all well and good for guys with money. I get this, like the poverty thing. When I left, I didn't have a great deal of wealth. When I left my last place, in fact, I left on the bones of my arse when I left South Africa. When I left UK, I was okay. I wouldn't have impressed anybody with numbers. And I can tell you, they started growing the minute I pissed off. Because I stopped feeding the tax beast. And I stopped being tied to one place. And I suddenly got clients from everywhere instead of one country. And I can tell you, you should all, if you can, be doing that. Unless you are someone that does a physical job, which, by the way, is also transportable. There are other places where you can do physical work and you can get by just fine. There's always a reason why you can't do it. It's called inertia. It's an incredibly hard weight. You need way more force to start something moving than you do to keep it moving once it's moving. It's called inertia. It's actually a scientific fact. You have a big round rock here on the concrete on a flat. This isn't particularly flat, but to push start it is much harder than to keep it rolling. Once it's rolling, if I can get it rolling, I'll be able to roll it down the street. He's at the boy. The Georgia dogs, Georgia Guidestones. Georgia. Hello. Hey, you with the earring. Nah, I just want to have a pee. Leave me alone, man. I'm a Caucasus dog. I don't talk English. Hey, hello. There's a big boy. Hello. Hello. What's your name? No, I'm going to have a piss. You can put this on camera if you want. We're waiting for it, bud. Okay. Too many crazy foreigners have said dumb things and been mean to him. So, yep, I think I'm done. You know, guys, I think I'm done. I think I made the message clear. But there's always a reason why you don't do it. And I didn't have huge fortunes when I left the last country I left and became essentially nomadic. And you can have a temporary base. You don't have to have the permanent place. And then you can build out and move around from there. And you can start getting your residencies in place. And you'll have more free time. And you need to have a mobile work, something you can do from a laptop. It helps. Or you can settle for 6 months in one place and have a seasonal job and do something else. I can't solve it all for you. But if I could, I would. But you need to think harder on that, because the excuses and the copium when I say this is like I was born some rich kid who could just up and duck. I wasn't born in a rich family. I wasn't born a rich kid, and I fell on the bones of my arse and know what it's like to not have a bean to my name during the course of my life. So, you know, it can be done. And sometimes you have to start. You don't get the perfect situation. You just have to start. And the sooner you start, you'll be amazed how the other things start to fall in place. Because the things were holding you back suddenly fall away, and the opportunities, there's no one there with prejudice over you. I love the architecture. It's kind of Fibonacci, man. Hey, I can see the maths, man. Yeah, so just get started. Make the change. Move. Start putting a distance. Cut the ties with your primary slave master so that you can start moving towards a new one. You will be treated better by your new slave masters because they have to compete to win you as a client relationship. That doesn't mean perfection. Lots of new. But it does mean new opportunities. The world is your oyster, not the country you were born in is an oyster. Stay there. And let me psyop you. It's the best country that ever existed. You don't have to do anything. Just stay there and pay your tax. Okay? Every country psyops you into it being the best country in the world. Just about every country of any scale. Okay? So stop buying the psyops. Snap out of the mass psychosis. There's a great, great existence to be had. And if you don't have all you want in one country, be a man of many. You'll slowly develop them. Go on an adventure of a life. Single. Look at all these handsome men and young ladies here. Beautiful other worlds. Glad and happy to meet Western man. Have some manners, be gracious, and who knows what prize you might win. Yeah? See what I mean? Did you see what I mean? Yeah. Okay. That's it from the sniper. Little bit off beat, little bit of walk and talk. Hope you enjoyed it. I waffled on a bit. But glad to have you. Hit the likes, hit the shares. You are the architect and you are the captain of your ship. Make sure you take leave and utilize your ship. Don't leave it in the port where you bought it. Sail those dangerous seas and find out there's beautiful lands on the other hills. Sail, 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 and see. And you will be delighted with all that you will find, young love. You didn't call me that, did you? Hey. No, I didn't mean it like that. How dare you say I don't sweat much for a fat girl? I was drunk at the time, but I'm sorry. Please have me back. Carried away. So, love you and leave you. Enjoy from Georgia. We hope to be having dinner with you one day. Talking shit, telling bad jokes, and seeing you with the right paperwork that sees you on the wrong side of the tax extractors, where they no longer can grab you. It's a great place to be. Okay, till next time. Unfortunately, it's a short on America. It's a short on the West. It's a long on gold. And you want to keep all those profits because they're coming for them. Bye for now.
Tired of profit wipeouts and blown accounts from following trade signal groups? Looking for a better way to trade? Why not be part of a principled, structured, and technically based community set inside a unique trading methodology? Enjoy a constructive learning environment while practically trading markets, supported by a bespoke platform run through browser or app, specifically designed to teach and engage you whilst learning and growing as the markets move. This is not a Telegram or Slack signal group. All trade ideas are based on a proprietary technical analysis process honed over decades, which is the HVF method, leading to trade ideas with fast-moving breakouts and tight stops, exact entries and exits, nuanced interim considerations, and ultimately strong rewards. Submissions are graded and scored by Francis for potential high-quality setups, and we provide bespoke tools to help get the job done properly and with precision. Over time, and with focused effort, you'll begin to look at charts, price action, and markets in a whole new light. Community updates every day by Francis and our 3 webinars a week provide a 360-degree approach, which are presented by our experienced team of trade leaders to spot potential trades. We're a community of self-actualized individuals, spanning the globe and active 24/7, 365. The premium community provides a warm, supportive, and cooperative place for people willing to listen, participate, contribute, and to learn. Transform your approach to trading now. Transform your life. Book an introductory call with us on the link below.